Hello once again. 'Tis I, Bpendragon, for another episode of Bpendragon Presents. Wow, I am so behind. 2 months since my last episode went up. I am sorry. I am now speaking on a brand new USB headset, and I've got screen capture software. So this is where we are in Apotheosis. I cut out at this scene break. Also got Book of Friendship pulled up. I need to start chapter 4. Not the Afterlife I signed up for. Chapter... Oh my, did I miss some updates? No, I've read those all. Just haven't read them on this one. Chapter 2. I think chapter 2. I don't know. I think I've recorded that one multiple times. And Hiatus, I think it's chapter 4 that I need to start with. Here, let me just pull up the YouTubes and check. I really messed that up, didn't I? There we... What? This is like what? Okay. youtube.com/Bpendragon. Great. There we go. Uploaded videos. So there's that. Apotheosis Chapter 1, Part 1. The announcement. Not the Afterlife I signed up for, Chapter 1. That's just the announcement for it. Oh, I need to fix that, don't I? Okay, Book of Friendship, Chapter 3, and Chapter 3 of Hiatus. Okay, so yeah, where I need to be. Okay. Let us begin. I'm furthest behind on this one. So let's begin Chapter 2 of Not the Afterlife I signed up for, the day after you die. I opened my eyes, totally confused as how I did so. I should currently be dead. Really dead. I did a quick mental calculation. Me plus out of control truck equals dead. The math seems to make sense to me. Perhaps I'm missing some variable. Because I didn't certainly feel dead. I certainly don't feel dead. Not that I know what dead feels like, but I'm pretty sure that you don't need to breathe when you're dead. And I was certainly breathing. I'm breathing too. Yeah, I think you're alive. Just saying. What just pinged me? Oh, Seattle Bronies group opened the message chat in the Facebook. I don't know if you can hear my system sounds. I've been using Minecraft as a way to get to try and get this thing set up, but I haven't been able to get the system sounds. Okay, where was I? Okay. Once I determined that I was indeed alive, I actually looked at where I was. It appeared to be some sort of cell. Well, this is ironic, I thought. The cop is in jail. This was not a traditional jail cell, though. It looked like something you'd see in a castle dungeon. Stone floors and walls, a large set of iron bars blocking the entrance, and even the bed I was sleeping on was actually a pile of straw. Yep. Medieval dungeon cell. Woohoo. Still, something seemed off about the whole scenario. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Okay, calm down. Let's consider the various explanations, I pondered. I might have been drugged, kidnapped, and now being held hostage by an evil dominatrix. Nah, there aren't enough chains for that to make sense. I don't want to know how many chains there would be needed to be for that to make sense. Before I could continue my musings, I heard a feminine groan from a nearby cell. I rolled to my feet to investigate. It appeared that there were 4 cells arranged in a circle, with one corridor leading out from the dungeon, for lack of a better term. This layout allowed me to see all 4 cells, though the interiors of each were shrouded in a deep shadow. The groan had come from the cell immediately to my left. The woman came to the light. My initial reaction can best be summed up as I don't know if I got that number right, but I think the point's there. That's a lot of T's and O's. Did you wear the printing off typing that? She looked to be in her mid-20s, dark brown hair, wearing some sort of vintage military costume, and stood a few inches shy of 6 foot. basically a dream in khaki spats. I wouldn't know. She also appeared to be just as confused as I was with the current situation. Then she noticed me. We stood there a few moments, looking each other over. I could feel her eyes moving over my body. She looked both intrigued and guarded at the same time. A few tense moments passed in a silence before I took the initiative to break the silence. You said moments multiple times, and if you say a few moments, let us have the Wolfram Alphas help us. A moment. 1 moment is 90 seconds. A few moments, therefore, would be... So 2 moments would be 3 minutes. 3 moments would be 4.5 minutes of awkward silence. That is quite the, awkward silence you got going on over there. Trying to remember who wrote that. Yeah. I don't remember the authors these days. I know it all, sorry. I know Daetrin did Apotheosis. Book of Friendship is Bully Cold. Hiatus is Vargas. I just keep forgetting I know it all. I'm sorry. Where was I? Ah, there we are. A few tense moments passed in the silence before I took the initiative to break the silence. Passed in silence before I broke the silence. You're saying that you're implying that there's a possibility for there to be a silence there that cannot be broken, or it's possible to speak without breaking the silence. Okay. You know, it's a good thing that you're already in a jail cell, because I'd have to arrest you for being so beautiful. I apologize to your ears. My forehead does as well. The shocked look on her face was priceless. Wait, you mean that shocked look was not her palm coming straight up to her forehead at high speed? Did I mention I'm a little bit of a troll? No, but makes sense. She asked, you're an American? Oh my gosh. British accent for the win. Why, yes indeed I am, I laid on my thickest southern drawl. Seeing as how I was born and raised in the hills of Tennessee, it wasn't all that hard. The confusion immediately returned to her face. Considering I was born and raised in Washington State, I can't do a southern accent. But wait, how are you here? Where is here? The last thing I remember was the explosion. She trailed off, so she had died as well. Well, the last thing I remember is getting run over by a rather large truck. Combined with your explosion, does that mean we're dead? I used a lot. Not exactly what I expected heaven to look like. A new voice rang out. So you perished as well? I guess this is the afterlife then. A stocky man stepped into the light in the cell opposite mine. He was wearing bronze armor and a skirt. Wait. I think I recall seeing that armor in a book on ancient Greece. Does that make him a hoplite? What the heck? The British chick and I shot the new guy a confused look. You died? You died at a costume party? I asked. What? No, I fell at Thermopylae. What? Dude, you're doing it wrong. If you're gonna respond what, the W is lowercase. Seriously. My brain went into processing mode. Loading. Ding! Hang on. You say you died at Thermopylae, as in the battle of 300 Spartans led by King Leonidas against the Persian legions? Epic movie, by the way. Though that isn't exactly the most accurate account. King Leonidas led 300 Spartans, but there were still a lot of Spartans there. Verily, though how you know of it, I know not. Definitely gonna have to teach this guy to speak real English soon. Wait, how can he even speak English? My thoughts exactly. The British chick, I really needed to go or get her name. Beat me to the punch. If you are from Sparta, how is it that you are speaking English? He asked. What is English? We are speaking Greek. What? Again! Lowercase, dude! That's the only appropriate response. And anyways, that's a period, not a question mark. Before any of us could continue, the occupant of the last cell interjected. It must be magic. Another woman stepped into the light of the dank dungeon. But she looked like she just stepped out of a kung fu flick. Also, I swear your O and T keys must be just about one apart. Perhaps you are right, the Greek guy mused. There is no such thing as magic, the British beauty spoke up. I had to put my foot down. This conversation, while interesting, was not helping us at all. Plus, we still don't know each other's names. Okay, now that your debate isn't interesting, but perhaps we could introduce yourself. I'll go first. My name is Isaac No. I'm from Tennessee in the United States of America from the year 2012 AD. There was a slight pause. I am Annabeth Edgeworth. I am from the city of London, England, and I am from the year 1942. Oh, she's from World War II. Ouch. That does explain a bit. I am Archaios, son of... Okay, I'm just gonna say Jason because I can never get the Greek IA thing right. I apologize. Son of Jason. I am a Spartan, and I am not sure what year I came from by your standards. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere about 400, 500 BC. Means that Annabeth and I are from about 2,400 years in your future. I'm pretty sure those dates are right-ish. Let me check. Battle of Thermopylae. I am fairly certain they are right as well. Battle of Thermopylae. Go, Wikipedia, go. This is what I do when you've got the... When I just got the screen up. I don't have the screen cap. So, yes. 480. Okay. So, then let's go to the Wolfram Alpha. 480 BC. It should pop us out with a date. Time from today. 2,491 years ago. Yep. Closer to say 2,500, but okay. I can give you that. Wrong tab. Day after you die. Here we are, chapter 2. Okay, so yeah, 480, right about there. Okay. Chinese chick spoke up. I am Fang Hua. I was born in the city of Yong, which is in the Qin Kingdom. I've just been reading about the Warring States period of ancient China, so that actually struck a chord with me. So that would be about 200 BC? I paused. Yeah, that's right. 200 BC is about right, yes. Though, why you managed to be reading exactly about what you need, I've got to be asking about that. And Beth asked, so you're saying we are from different times? It would appear so. But we all died. Fang Hua trailed off, looking downright miserable. Is this the underworld? Where's the river Styx? Alcaios wondered aloud. I don't think we are dead, because this is certainly not the afterlife I signed up for. Title drop. I joked. Our group sat in silence for a moment, absorbing the new information. We were in some sort of jail. We had all been saved from certain death. We were each from different time periods in Earth history, and we were all somehow hearing each other talk in our native language. Alcaios grunted and nodded to himself. Sorry about that. One moment, I'm going to pause my recording, and I'm going to get myself a glass of water, because, wow. Okay, I am back. I actually skipped past coffee and skipped past water and went to coffee. I actually have a pen and a piece of paper leaning against it. Whoever knows who cutie marks were so literal. Okay, where was I? Okay, I'm just gonna start here. I forget where I was. Okay. I don't think we are dead, because this is certainly not the afterlife I signed up for, I joked. Okay. Our group sat in silence for a moment, absorbing the new information. We were in some sort of jail. We had all been saved from certain death. Oh yeah, da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Okay, I just grunted and nodded to himself. Okay, here we are. Well, I am not going to wait here for whatever fate is in store for us. I'm going to find my shield and go home. He gripped the bars. Fang Hua nodded as well. I need to return to Qin to protect the Emperor. It is my duty. Annabeth and I exchanged worried glances. She asked, and how do you propose to escape? Like this. Alcaios and Fang Hua responded at once. Alcaios ripped the door off the cell like it was made of paper. Fang Hua kicked one of the bottom of the bar so hard it broke. Then she bent the bar up and out of the way. My eyes nearly popped out of my skull. Note to self, do not make Alcaios or Fang Hua angry. Fang Hua tossed a set of keys that were hanging on the wall to Alcaios, and he quickly unlocked our cells. Now what do you propose we do? Annabeth asked. Now we have to make whoever locked us up pay for their actions. Alcaios and Fang Hua both had devilish grins upon their faces. Ping. Facebook, stop pinging me. Pause. Okay, I'm back. I just paused see how it's no longer flashing at me. I paused. I blocked the group chat so it wouldn't ping me as I'm trying to speak. Okay. Now, we have to make whoever locked us up pay for their actions. Alcaios and Fang Hua both had devilish grins upon their faces. They both sprinted down the hallway, and Annabeth and I struggled to keep up with their pace. Even though they were short, they were fast. As we ran, I wondered why we hadn't seen any guards, but I didn't think too much of it. I asked Annabeth, so what did you do before you ended up here? I worked as a saboteur against the Nazis. I was blowing up a munitions train. It's flashing again. Oh, that means just somebody posted on the page. I was blowing up a munitions train before I ended up here. What about yourself? I work as an undercover cop, but I also do chemical analysis for the forensics team down at the station. If I hadn't been training for the past several months, I would have been totally exhausted by this point. How far did this hallway go? I don't know, but I could run it. Before anyone could chime in, we ran to the corner and came face to face with our first guard. My brain had to stop and take in things in one at a time. Allow me to show you my thought process. 1. What the heck? 2. Is that a pony? 3. Oh yes, that's a pony! Okay, I just freaked myself out. Wait. 4. Wait. Is that one of the Celestia's royal... Oh, crap. 5. And Alcaios just one hit KO'd him with a punch to the schnoz. Great. Smooth move, Greek guy. Before I could reprimand Alcaios for harming one of the background characters of my favorite TV show, everyone burst through the door behind the unconscious pony into an even bigger hallway. This one was full of dignified-looking ponies and even more royal guards. Fan-freaking-tastic. 3 guesses what Alcaios and Fang Hua did, and the first 2 don't count. Okay, first one, they sat down with Luna and had tea. Second guess, they started photoshopping everything. I'm just looking around and I've got a Photoshop trial thing. Back when Vista was the operating system. That's sad. Third one. They started rampaging across the place, taking out everybody in their path as they run through the door. If you guessed rushing down the hallway, knocking bounties about, then you were correct. Okay, close enough. Annabeth was dumbfounded at the sudden influx of cuteness, so I grabbed her hand and hauled her after our rogue party members. As we ran down the hall, I was called out apologies to the panicking ponies. Sorry, he just wanted a shield. She didn't mean it. I'll pay for that. And many more. I honestly felt bad for the guards that tried to stop the Spartan. Their attacks just bounced off of him. I even saw some unicorn guards try to stop him with telekinesis, but he just pushed through the force. Wow. Because force equals mass times acceleration, they were not able to decelerate him? Okay, sure. None of the ponies could so much as lay a hoof on Fang Hua. She gracefully danced through the hall, leaving piles of incapacitated ponies in her wake. None of the gods even got near us before receiving at least one concussion, so Annabeth and I didn't have much trouble. The hallway ended up into a ginormous door. This thing was frigging huge. Did that stop Alcaios from opening it? Nope. .evi. I believe this one calls for it. Then again, you probably can't hear it. Nope. .evi. Okay. Okay. I tried to hold the speaker over towards the headphones. I hope I didn't create a reverb pattern. I'm sorry. Again, wrong tab. Wrong tab. Here we are. He wrenched the doors open and we piled into the massive throne room beyond it. Ooh, snap. This was the throne room. Princess Celestia flared her wings at the other end of the room. Who dares assault the Canterlot Castle? To assault Canterlot Castle. Castle should be capitalized. It's the name of it's a proper noun. We are so dead. I tried to grab Apotheosis and Fang Wall before they did anything else. That would end in us being permanent residents on the moon. No luck. They go charging off towards Celestia. How about they went? At this point, I just gave up trying to stop them. You want to keep your verb tenses the same. I turned to Annabeth. Well, it was nice to meet you, but I do believe that we are about to die. What is even going on? First we were in jail, and now those two are roughing up small horses. If we survive, I'll explain what I do know. Give me a kiss for good luck. I guess I deserved that. I was suddenly sporting a different colored patch on my face. Celestia's horn fled, and suddenly we were all suspended in midair. The solar princess strode towards us, nostrils flaring. Yep, but we are totally moonbound. Why do you seek to harm my little ponies? She said the title. Apotheosis fired back. Why are we being held captive? Before anyone could chip in, I asked the most important question of all. Why are we yelling? Celestia's eyes flashed in anger. Oops. Hello, this is your captain speaking. I'd like to thank you for flying Air Bananas. Air Bananas, air should be capitalized. We will be landing on the moon in 5 minutes, so please fasten your seatbelts. However, before we could become the first humans to set foot on the moon without a ship, Princess Luna entered the room. She cantered over to Princess Celestia and whispered something in her ear. Amazingly, Celestia's anger seemed to recede slightly. She sighed and then spoke. I will speak with you in private. Perhaps we can solve the mystery of your presence through cooperation. Well, it would seem that our trip to the moon had been delayed. For now. Do I want to do another episode of this? Because I'm just uploading this thing as one full episode. Do I want to do a chapter of this or switch to something else? This is chapter 3 of this. I think I'm really behind on Apotheosis. So, because we're there, we need to get... It just keeps going, doesn't it? There. Okay, Apotheosis. Total change of everything right about now. Luna watched through the part in the curtains to the rear of Celestia's throne. She wanted to like Twilight. Celestia chose her students with care and groomed them with equal exactitude. From what her sister had told her and the little she'd seen of the unicorn, Twilight Sparkle seemed a pleasant enough pony. Whenever the alicorn saw her, however, she could only think of the crushing power of the elements of harmony and the pitiless glowing white of Twilight's eyes. 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 1300 hours. My watch just beeped at me. Even after the brief respite of Nightmare Night, she had a hard time thinking of the unicorn as a mere pony. Something deep within her quailed as the thought of meeting her simultaneous destroyer and rescuer again. While the corners of her mind, the dark emotions that had first birthed Nightmare Moon stirred languidly. That can't be good. You know, I really want to get a webcam and then right down at the spot. I mean, I've got a webcam here, but it's not that good, and I need light. I need a front light on it. Just put it right here so you can just watch, just for my facial reactions, because they are priceless. Okay. The alicorn locked that all away with practiced skill, squirreling her face into a cheerful smile as she walked in the conversation. Her crystalline shoes tapped softly against the marble, drawing the attention of the three in the throne room. You'll have to ask Scar. Celestia was saying. It's his story to tell. Ah, there you are, Luna. The princess turned her head to give her sister a brief, searching look. Just running a little late. Luna returned the look, giving nothing away, and turned to Twilight. The unicorn bowed her head deeply, and as did the small dragon next to her, and the dark alicorn's smile grew a shade more genuine. That's good. We like a happy Luna. Because when the moon is happy, the tides are happy, and when the tides are happy, we get cool waves. Actually, the waves aren't caused by the tide, they're caused by big winds, usually. Waves crossing the Pacific, taking a week to get across. But then they're good surfing. Not that I know, I don't surf. I want to, though. Back on track. Okay. For Twilight to be paying her such respect seemed in some small way ironic. It is good to meet you again, Twilight Sparkle, Luna lied. I wasn't expecting to travel with you until today. I wasn't expecting to be traveling at all until today, Princess, Twilight replied. But now I'm excited, she continued cheerily. I get to go to Draconia and with you and see you in action. I have a dozen books on diplomacy. I have a dozen books on diplomacy, and it still seems arcane. It's not that bad, actually, the unicorn heard herself laugh, high and sweet, but it's not particularly exciting, either. It doesn't have to be exciting, just interesting. The unicorn rolled her eyes. Between Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie, I get enough excitement on a daily basis. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Those two can be bundles of energy. Well, you already knew that, considering you're listening to this implies that you're watching the show. You watch the show. Oh, that's where my SD card went. Okay. Where was I? The Dark Princess felt the claws of desperate jealousy scrabbling at the back of her mask as she quashed it ruthlessly. Sometimes it's not even that. Oh, I'm sure it will be if you're going to be negotiating with Scar, Twilight said, blithely unaware of Luna's discomfort. But don't you know him from before? Now the unicorn looked uncertain, and she confronted the idea of a pony with thousands of years of memory. Celestia rescued them from the incubating mutual awkwardness. It was I who handled the communication with him. In many ways, he was one of my students, but I cannot spare the time to take a trip to Draconia, so Luna is going in my stead. It is time I got involved with the real world again, Luna added, echoing what Celestia had told her when the trip was proposed. In truth, she had no desire for any sort of involvement, let alone spending weeks with Twilight as her only companion. But even after everything, she still loved her sister and hadn't even thought of turning down Celestia's request. Oh, of course! Twilight's expression flickered from confused to understanding to tentative. Mine would too. I thought I would have seen you earlier, though. The unicorn paused, searching for some way to delicately ask the question. It takes a while to catch up from a missing 1,000 years. Luna was using Celestia's words again, and she hated it. There had been no coaching or prodding from the older alicorn, only earnest conversation. Some princess had genuinely had no wish to control her younger sister, but Luna felt helpless to avoid falling into her orbit. But the moon orbits the Earth, which Equestria would be on Earth. So the moon orbits Earth, and then the Earth is what orbits the sun. Physics. Okay, here we go. The alicorn abruptly decided she was ready to leave. Is everything ready to go, Tia? She turned to her sister, though the question was mostly rhetorical. This particular expression had been decided on days ago, and she'd spent enough time discussing the dreary details of treaties and trade agreements for the staff to prepare a dozen trips. It will be once Scar finishes arranging transport, Celestia replied, descending from her dais. Before you go, I think you'll need these. The alicorn's horn shone briefly, and two shapes appeared in a flicker of light. The two steel medallions, each with a dragon's head crest suspended from a fine chain, floated towards them. The white glow surrounding them shifted to purple, light for Twilight and dusky for Luna, as the two ponies took the amulets. The unicorn put hers on and looked down at it, beaming. So, does this make me an official diplomat? Spike hopped onto Twilight's back, leaning forward to inspect the medallion himself. Awesome! The small dragon exclaimed. This means I get, like, an ultra comfy room and all the gems I can eat, right? Oh, Spike. Twilight giggled. Luna looked down at her own medallion. It was no magically cheering talisman for her. It simply rested unassumingly against her pectoral, promising nothing, and the Moon Princess stifled a sigh. Well, she said instead, giving the unicorn a smile, let's see what Ska has brewed up for us. The three of them walked out of the throne room, hoofsteps echoing on the vaulted marble, two Pegasus guards appearing from nowhere to escort them. There was still, Luna thought, some hostility and wariness in those eyes, despite Celestia's patient explanations and subsequent strict instructions. It seemed odd that it was Twilight, who had far and away the closest contact with the Nightmare Moon, who cherished no animosity at all. Of course, it was Twilight who had shattered Nightmare Moon too. Twilight and her friends. Luna had to remind herself, though the faces were, like so many things, blurred in her memory. Her mind shivered away from the raw edges of those particular depths, and she focused ahead instead on what they had stepped out as they stepped out in the courtyard. For a moment, Twilight thought the dragons had stolen a piece of Cloudsdale, a 9-sided pedestal hung in the air, wreathed in a cloud, tugging impatiently at a heavy chain attached from the steel pectoral of one of Scar's guards. It wasn't until she saw the runes carved deep into the surface and shimmering faintly with entrained magic that she realized that it was not of pony origin. A nonagon. I'm trying to remember, is that one of the ones you can draw perfectly? I know you can draw a 17-sided, 140. Oh, yep. This I gotta see. Okay. So you're bisecting. Oh, yuck. That's an ugly. Oh my. There's 40. Oh, a close approximation. So not quite exact. We're gonna hit. Yep. There's your error right there. Not bad. Not bad at all. So you can't exactly draw it. Okay. Sorry. I like to get off on tangents, if you haven't noticed. Coffee. Do you like it? Scar's voice rumbled in her ear. The unicorn squealed with surprise and jumped, whirling around to face the enormous dragon who had somehow snuck up behind her. Spike, taken equally off guard, windmilled and toppled off his perch on her back. Don't do that! She scolded, forgetting propriety for a moment. She glared briefly at the single silver eye, half noticing that neither Celestia nor Luna looked particularly surprised. It's not nearly as funny as you think. And it's just rude, Spike agreed, picking himself off the floor. Especially since I get hurt. Spike. The larger dragon gave them a grin, full of teeth and smoke. But I am at fault for scaring you, or are you not paying close enough attention? Scoff flowed past them, reaching up to effortlessly haul the pedestal down to ground level. Your chariot awaits, he told them with a flourish of his paw. The interior was half cloud, half stone, and fully furnished with cushions, tables, and chests. The latter bore Luna's crescent moon insignia, the royal's alternative to saddlebag. While the construct was comfortable enough for a Pegasus or an alicorn, for a unicorn it was downright dangerous. I added the downright, because I thought it worked better. Oh no, you could sue me if you want. Daetrin, go ahead, I don't care. Come at me, bro. She opened her mouth to point this out, then noticed Scar watching her intently. Right. Twilight cast her mind back, closing her eyes and concentrating briefly. Horn glowed, and ephemeral bands swirled into existence around her hooves. They snapped inward suddenly, vanishing with a pulsed glow of power. What? Spike began, then flinched as an identical magical construct enveloped all four paws. Twilight opened her eyes and looked around happily at the ponies and dragons watching her. It's the spell I looked up a while ago, to let the rest of us ponies walk on clouds. Well, and Spike. She grinned fondly back at the small dragon, who was rubbing his paws together and looking at them carefully. So now I won't fall off, she smiled broadly to Luna. That's kind of important, I think. Oh yeah, Twilight, I'd say that's important. Luna giggled softly. You would have a fit if I lost you halfway there. The alicorn flicked her wings, sailing the short distance from the ground to the lip of the conveyance. Come on up, she called to Twilight. The unicorn grinned and the world flickered around her as she transported herself and Spike to the pedestal in the flash of light. Luna seemed to flinch slightly as Twilight appeared beside the Moon Princess, but she ascribed it to her imagination, as Luna immediately smiled cheerily and waved a hoof around the furnished interior. Welcome aboard! Luna gave Twilight a half bow, then braced herself on the cloud to peer over the side at her sister, still standing on the marble tile. The unicorn joined her, looking down at Celestia. The Sun Princess tilted her head back, looking at the two with a smile. Be careful, both of you. I'm sure we'll be fine. Luna waved a hoof airily. What is there to worry about? Yeah, Twilight added. This'll be fun. Yes, Twilight, it will. I'm sure of it. I love fun. Classy. Spike hopped off Twilight's back to dive onto one of the cushions, sinking halfway into the richly padded bulk. I could get used to this. Don't get too used to it, Twilight said dryly. It's back to the library with us once we're done. Well, until then, I'm going to enjoy it. Spike stretched out on the cushion and closed his eyes. Twilight shook her head at him fondly and looked back at Celestia. Goodbye, Princess. We'll see you soon. Bye, sis, Luna added from beside her. Don't work too hard while I'm gone. Scar released the chain, setting them upward again. The floor was remarkably stable underfoot, the platform refusing to bob and sway. Twilight suspected there was more magic involved than simply making it float. She hoped she'd get the chance to study it during their journey. Celestial waved to them as she drew away from the castle, Scar's detail taking to the air with the heavy noise of wings. They rose higher and higher, the wind whistling around the pedestal, but the air within the border of the clouds remained still. Twilight, cool. Though that does mess with your aerodynamics, but you're almost circular. That'll work. Okay. Twilight watched Camelot recede below them, then turned to Luna. So, yes, the princess walked across the cloudy floor, prodding at one of the cushions and looking at Twilight attentively. The purple unicorn felt suddenly awkward, fumbling for a topic to engage the alicorn. So, how are you finding Equestria these days? Twilight winced as the words came out of her mouth. She didn't want to constantly bring up Luna's thousands of years of exile, but it was hard to think of a conversational gambit that didn't refer to it obliquely. The flicker of some unidentifiable I just lost my tongue. I can't do a thing with it. Unidentifiable, the motion passed over the alicorn's face. Then Luna gave her a smile, stretching out on the unoccupied cushion. Spike was already snoring blissfully on his. Celestia's kept it up pretty well. I was meaning to get out earlier, but I've been buried in history books and period literature. Oh, Twilight brightened. Books were a subject on which she could hold forth for hours. What have you been reading? One of the Elder? Heraclitus? Why are you reading Greek historians? More recent than that, Luna laughed. Actually, I just finished the history of Ponyville, she told Twilight. I was curious about after hearing Tia talk about it. Oh yes, Twilight nodded. Earth pony settlements are so fascinating. It's amazing how much we can get done without magic. My first winter wrap-up was incredible, actually. The unicorn smiled, remembering. It was an experience of not using magic for once, but I don't think I could go without it all the time. After all, it is my special talent. She giggled softly. You don't mind only using your hooves? Luna tilted her head curiously, and Twilight shook her head. No, not really. Not with the way it was a group effort. Besides, there are other unicorns in Ponyville, and if they could do it, so could I. Maybe next winter wrap-up I can join you, the princess said thoughtfully. I'm sure Dash would love that, Twilight said cheerfully. But the mayor would probably throw a shoe. Ponyville has had enough issues wrapping up properly without having to perform in front of royalty. I suppose that's true, Luna sighed, and the unicorn felt a twinge of sympathy for her downcast look. She knew what it was to feel out of place. If you want to join in, just show up, Twilight encouraged. You're a princess, you can do whatever you want. Actually, royalty means you have fewer freedoms than the average citizen. Oh, wrong voice. Actually, royalty means you have fewer freedoms than the average citizen, Scar's rumble entreated them, the big dragon poking his head into the bubble of still air surrounding their conveyance. It is a duty that you eat, sleep, and breathe your entire life. This time they were both startled, the ponies looking upward at the dragon flying above them. Eavesdropping isn't very polite, Twilight scolded. Not particularly, no, Scar replied with equanimity before continuing with the topic at hoof. Kings and queens and princes and princesses are constantly constrained by the necessity to do things they would rather not. It is not our personal preferences that govern our lives, but the good of our subjects and our lands. You don't seem to sacrifice much to duty, Luna said half accusingly. You seem to do whatever you want. I am not quite as capricious as I may seem, the dragon gave them a toothy smile, and I've developed a certain flair over the years, it's true. But ruling dragons isn't the same as ruling ponies, so it should be expected I don't act much like Celestia. That reminds me, Twilight interposed. Celestia said something about Spike being her protege, and he's been here ever since he was an egg. I don't think he's had any contact with you at all. Not as such, no, Scar conceded, but I am the reason his egg was in Equestria in the first place. But if your friends had not come through when they did, he would have been a lever to stage my coup when he came of age. As it is, he can lead a less political life. That seems awfully cold-blooded, Twilight said, then smiled wryly at her inadvertent joke. I'm glad Spike doesn't have that weighing on him, she continued, looking over at the snoozing dragon. He's still only a baby. The dragon had been her companion ever since she was a filly, and she had difficulty thinking of him as a political tool. But why did you have to take over in the first place? Twilight asked, then flushed briefly. I mean, was the other king not doing a good job, or what? The pony princesses rule together, Scar answered obliquely, sun and moon, in harmony. At least they're supposed to. He cast a brief glance at Luna, who ducked her head in embarrassment. Dragons are not the same. The dragon tapped the Ouroboros pendant hanging around his neck. The dragon brothers rule in sequence. One rises to power, full of vigor and new ideas. Eventually he grows fat and lazy and complacent, and his brother topples him. And he uses his exile to think and learn and plot and become worthy of rule once more. He grinned toothfully. It is harmony of a sort. Between the two of us, it is balance. Nothing is meant to truly stand alone. Luna felt fundamentally comfortable talking to Scar, in precisely the way she thought she would feel with Luna. Speaking with the princesses was like a conversation with an ordinary pony. Any conversation with Scar, on the other hand, seemed to hold a myriad of sharp edges just out of sight. Hey, Twilight, want to hear a secret? They're called claws. So Sue was relieved he finally withdrew from the conversation, great wings flapping as he flew ahead of them. From the vantage point of the cushions, the ground wasn't visible, but the clouds sped briskly by in testament to their speed. Spike woke up again later in the trip, leaning over the side to watch hills, trees, and mountains roll by. I've never been this far from Canelot or Ponyville, he remarked. Do you think it'll be different in Draconia? Well, it'll be colder at least, Twilight smiled. Even colder than winter usually is, I expect. That's not what I meant. Spike shook his head. I mean, if I talk about living in a big tree with where my parents understand. The dragon tripped over the word, looking anxious. Oh, Spike, the unicorn said reassuringly. I'm sure it'll be fine. Draconia might be different, but not that different. It used to be very like northern Equestria, Luna put in. Long and long ago. I have to wonder how it's changed. There, you see? Twilight beamed, trying to ignore the chill that went down her spine every time one of the princesses casually walked through the millennia. You don't have to worry. I'm sure they'll be just like us. Please tell me we're getting to the end. Sorry. I mean, I love the story, but... Oh, cool. Almost there. But this recording has probably been going on for an hour. The reassurance was for her as well as Spike. Her conversation with the princesses had remained confined to their comparative views of the history of Ponyville, rather than their actual mission. From what she'd seen so far, Twilight was more than willing to leave dealing with dragons up to Luna. From what Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy had related, Twilight expected the trip to take several days, but either they were moving faster than she thought, or there were subtle magics being worked, for the sun hadn't gotten near the horizon when the white-capped mountains hove into view. Flying shapes hovered about the mountains, not the familiar Pegasi of Equestria, but rather glinting scaled figures, going about their mysterious business. "Is that Irie Draconis?" Twilight propped herself up on the edge of their strange chariot, and Luna joined her. "It looks like it," the princess agreed with her. "I've never been there myself." I apologize for taking Luna and Twilight all over the map with these accents. I've been trying for just something moderately female. Not happening, is it? Buildings were scattered over a series of broad plateaus, the city rising vertically from the snow-dusted valley below. Water ran through each section of the city, cascading downward in a series of falls, while glowing lava oozed sluggishly through a series of magic canals from the smoking volcano the city was built on. Scar's form dived ahead of them, and Spike's arms windmilled as they dropped downward rapidly. Twilight couldn't help but squeak at the abrupt fall, but Luna seemed unaffected, merely ruffling her wings and peering downward. The horizon spun madly, and then was abruptly still as they landed. The unicorn groaned. All this way, it was fine, and then they had to do that at the end. "It wasn't that bad," Luna giggled, hopping down lightly from the cloud. Twilight shook her head to clear the vertigo, and brought herself and Spike down next to the princess with a flash of light. "It was too," she whispered to Luna. Aside from Scar and the dragon gods, there were only 2 other dragons on the flat landing area in front of the palace. One looked to be made of hammered bronze, each scale being a distinctive rippled pattern, her form sleek with metallic fins on her head and tail. The other seemed to be carved out of obsidian. Twilight could swear she could spot tool marks, his hide glossy black and hinting at a translucence that never quite manifested. He was decorated in wicked-looking spines, forming a crest at the back of his head, running down his back. Those 2 were both looking at the same individual, ignoring the rulers, the guards, the princess, and her companion. Spike stared back, wide-eyed. "May I introduce your parents?" Scar said quietly. "Lady Ember Sky and Lord Chasm." I'm sorry, an ellipsis as a scene break just kind of makes me want to say ... Luna watched as the unicorn followed her dragon companion. Spike's legs wobbled as he took his first hesitant steps towards the pair. Throughout her long life, that was one particular fear she'd never had to face. And yet, there was something in the dragon's movement that reminded her of herself when she opened her eyes to see Celestia looming over her. She had to look away. The sound of the voices washed over her, a lilting trumpet and an earth-shaking rumble of draconic voices. Spike's stammering's reply, Twilight's responses, her words thin and thready in comparison with the power of Ember Sky and Chasm. I actually prefer pronouncing that Ember Ski, but I'm sure that it's supposed to be Ember Sky. Just saying. It was a family meeting she had no part in. Instead, she turned to study the architecture, trying to distract herself from snippets of words being passed around behind her. The stone was old, older than the mountain itself, and she looked at it. How is that possible? They quarry it down in place with older rock and move it in? Okay. As she looked at it, there were runes, once etched deep into the weathered rock and now barely visible. It was a puzzle that she told herself to concentrate on, but something interrupted her. "It hurts, doesn't it?" But the words were whispered in her ear, and she whirled to see Scar's blind eye staring whitely at her. "I don't know what you're talking about." She looked back at the eye, though it couldn't possibly see her. It was, in fact, aimed slightly off to her left and above her, which was somehow even more disconcerting. "You're older than I am," Scar said dryly, his words accompanied by a curl of smoke leaking from the side of the dragon's muzzle. Couldn't you just say his muzzle? We know that Scar's a dragon. Just a style issue. Don't take anything out with it. "You should know better than try and disassemble like that." Dissemble. I don't know that word. Daetrin, I love you for teaching me new words every time I read your fic. Define. Conceal one's true motives. Okay, makes sense. Again, sorry. You were born old, Luna muttered to him. And you were born young, Scar countered. You should treasure that, princess. Celestia might play your games, Luna sighed. But I don't have to, even if I am a diplomat. You're the Lord of Air and Fire, I'm the bringer of the moon. Why do you act like this? Playing. Scar ignored her. I see how lonely you are, where your choices have brought you. You can't even stand to watch, princess. She didn't answer. She couldn't. There was nothing she said that could... she could find voice to protest, but at the same time, she didn't know what she was trying to accomplish. She could feel his talons tugging at her mask, and the princess took a deep breath to steady herself. What do you want, Scar? It's what you want. The corner of his muzzle curled upward in a smile. It was not a pleasant expression. If you could take it all back, right from the very beginning, would you? It was an unfair question. Luna's jaw ached as she pressed her muzzle tightly shut. Luna had never asked her anything like it. But even right after her return, after a great length of time, she finally answered in a small voice. You can't change the past. Good for you. Scar's head lifting revealed Twilight toward them, alone. Luna looked a question at her, and the unicorn smiled briefly. Her face was a welter of emotions. Relief and fear and anxiety. It was obvious that Twilight had no need for the type of mask Luna wore. Spike's going to spend some time with his parents, she told the princess. It took a moment for her to reassemble herself enough to reply properly. That sounds like a wonderful idea. You deserve some time alone with them. But where do we go? She looked over at Scar, and the Dragon Lord bowed. If you'll follow me. He flowed past them, ignoring the waiting guards, and the ponies trotted to keep up. Behind them, servitors moved to unload their baggage. They outdistanced their luggage, though, keeping up with Scar's swift pace. What's the rush? Twilight asked, her hooves clattering on the stone. We're not all dragon-sized, you know. Luna caught her glance. The larger alicorn wasn't having to expend quite as much effort. It is rude to make us rush, Luna agreed. Slow down, Scar. The dragon stopped abruptly, and Twilight skidded to his side. Luna managed a more graceful halt, but still gave Scar a glare. The dragon smiled unrepentantly and pointed at the door. No need, he said. We're here. Luna blinked. The door was, and this was the most surprising thing, pony-sized. Well, okay, not exactly pony-sized, but it was certainly not built for dragons. Ooh, Twilight exclaimed. Did you make this for us? No, it's been here for quite some time, Scar inclined his head to them. Go on in. Luna looked at him suspiciously, then pushed the door open. She took 2 steps in and stopped. The entire room was clad with silver, shining and untarnished, the walls covered in symbols. Wow, the unicorn commented, stepping in behind the princess. What is all this? I don't know, Luna replied. I can't read it. She should have been able to. The princess had learned nearly every language in existence throughout her long life. But so much of her knowledge had been bound up in the Nightmare Moon, it was impossible to tell what she had lost in that single incident of feat. Kalema Banu Pena. How do you pronounce that? Mushmbi Ushu. Scar murmured from outside the door. What? The princess looked back at him. Startled, something about that language tickled the back of her brain. Would you like to know why this is all here? Sure, Twilight grinned. I'd love to know where this came from. No, wait! Luna whirled on Twilight, but it was too late. The inscriptions on the wall blazed into the light, the light bouncing off the polished silver. She turned her head to run toward the door, but there was no door there, just glowing symbols hanging in the air. And yet for an instant she saw Scar's blind eye watching her, his expression ineffably sad. What's going on? Twilight backed up, away from the walls into the center of the room, her arm glowing in a defensive reflex. It's answering you, Luna said quietly as colors swirled behind the glowing light. Fragments of knowledge swirled in her head, an inchoate mass that refused to accrete into a settled conclusion. Fear sent its icy talons through her, a sensation that a goddess did not often feel. Answering me? How can I be answering? I didn't even ask it a question. Luna's voice rose in shrill panic as she looked around wildly. Luna joined her in the middle of the room as the glow washed the walls away. "It's answering me, too," the princess added in a whisper. The walls vanished in a final flare, and the wave of heat rolled over them. The sun hood stood high in the sky, hammering down mercilessly, flashing off endless ripples of white sand, starting in all directions from the circle of worn stone underhoof. Where are we?" Twilight looked around, dazed. Luna felt only a cold certainty that Scar and Celestia had colluded to send her here. The chill competing with the heat of the new surroundings. She didn't understand Twilight's role, but the princess knew nothing had really changed, and it was exile again. "Where my choices have brought me," she whispered. Thank you. This has been a double-length mega episode of Bpendragon Presents. I've been recording for well over an hour, so I'm going to stop. I will see you next time. Bpen is out. Peace.